Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Melanated N Business. It is me, just Joci,
And TaWanda with the T.
and we want to thank you all for viewing and tuning in with us today on this Thursday for our amazing show we have for you guys. Guest of the hour, Mr. Okyere. Welcome, Mr.
Hello, hi.
Okyere.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Happy to be here. It's very late where I am now, but I'm happy to come here to share my story with you guys.
Well, we definitely appreciate you taking the time out. It's what, like midnight in London?
Yeah, it's just about, just over midnight now, but it's all good. I'm usually up around this time doing some work anyway. Last minute works, but yeah, it's all good.
Cool. So, Mr. Okyere, tell the people who you are, what you do, and what your company is.
Oh, hi. So, hello, everyone. My name is Yao, and I'm the founder and CEO of Estell. And Estell is an all-natural skincare company that we help people with hyperpigmentation, eczema, stretch marks, or just problematic skin in general. So, it was an issue that I came across when I first met this amazing woman who is now my wife, and she always struggled with it. And we decided to, find something that is all natural, that will not bleach her skin, but at the same time work perfectly for her. So that's how I started. And then, I'm just so amazed that, we see that it works for so many people. So that's who we are.
Amazing. You people hear that? He is going to tell you how to beautify that beautiful, melanated, beautiful skin that we have. So you want to make sure you stay tuned in. But before we get into his story, TaWanda, what's the tea?
Hello, and happy Thursday. So, historically Black colleges are finally getting the spotlight. Historically Black colleges and universities are having a big moment right now, one that many educators say is more than a century overdue. Athletic programs are landing top recruits and making big name hires. For example, Bethune-Cookman in Daytona Beach, Florida, recently announced that Reggie Theus, the former Chicago Bulls guard, has become its athletic director. Howard in Washington also recently announced a string of high-profile hirings, including the writers Ta-Nehisi, I can't even say her first name, but sorry, Ta-Nehisi Coates and Nicole Hannah-Jones, and actress Felicia Rashad, who was appointed the Dean of Fine Arts. The money is pouring in. The billionaire businesswoman, novelist, and philanthropist Mackenzie Scott has given more than $500 million to more than 20 historically Black colleges in the past year. Google, TikTok, and Reed Hastings, the co-chief executive of Netflix, have given $180 million more. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill delivered more than $5 billion in pandemic rescue funding, which included erasing $1.6 billion in debt for 45 institutions. The donations, hirings, and government money seem to have signaled a sudden recognition of the importance of the nation's 100 historically Black colleges, which have educated Black Americans when other institutions openly would not. But for some historically Black colleges, the future remains a little worrisome, although the better known institutions like Howard, Morehouse, Spelman are not in danger. Other colleges, many of them smaller colleges, have hit declining enrollment, budgets having issues. At least 6 have closed in the past 20 years, and by several metrics, more than a handful of Black colleges are endangered. The issues are partly demographic. They say a few fewer high school graduates, Black high school graduates, Black students have been lured to other institutions with the endowments and financial aid budgets with the larger following, even before the pandemic. But I will be showing. We had a couple of months ago Dejanay Thompson, who has the Black School Box. She does have a subscription box that she sends out information to Black colleges. So let's keep supporting our HBCUs and pushing the information, because a lot of kids don't know about them or that they're even in their towns.
Right.
So that concludes my tea for today. Thank you for taking a sip with me. Well, I didn't really take my sip, but here we go right here.
Wait a minute, is that glass empty? Is that glass clear?
Water, look, it's water. I'm trying to do right. It's water.
That's a new sip for the season.
Right.
Don't worry, I got some tea here for you anyway. So
Okay.
So thank you for the tea, TaWanda. Everyone, make sure that you share information. You know, everyone's graduating. We're going to a new school year. We're going back into school, back face-to-face schooling. Just share with your nieces and nephews and cousins and goddaughters and daughters and sons any information that you have, and just bring them aware and make them aware of HBCUs and the importance of attending one, and the culture, and how much it really is a great experience for them to have as a student. So yes, with that being said, Mr. Okyere, back on the spotlight. Is back on you today, sir. So the name of your business is Estell. And Estell is a health and beauty product line. How did you come up with that name? Because I understand you went through a name change, right?
yes, so we were called something different. I'm not sure if I can actually still talk about it, because we are not supposed to openly market it with that old name. So essentially, the initial brand was named after my wife. And then we went through, we basically had some IP issues regarding the name itself. So we had to essentially rebrand. And so the current name is almost like a mix between my daughter's name and my wife's name mixed together. So my daughter is Ava, and then obviously my wife, they're still part of it. So yeah, it's named after my wife and daughter.
Well, that's kind of cool, building and creating the legacy. How does your daughter feel about that?
She actually has no idea what's going on. She's only 2,
Oh.
she has no idea what's going on. Although my wife's a little bit jealous, because now her name starts first, and there's the whole daddy daughter thing going on now, and she doesn't understand why the Estell comes after the Ava. So, but I'm sure she'll get over it after a while.
She'll be okay.
Eventually. Yeah. Eventually. Well, let's hope so.
So how did you get into the health and beauty industry?
So I've always had a background in production. So my actual background was in food production. So that's where I learned how to sort of like formulate, because we used to come up with like new innovative food products. So I learned the regulations about coming up with new products and all of that stuff. But in terms of skincare itself, it's almost like when I met my wife now, at the time, just a girlfriend, and she always talked about having these hyperpigmentation on her arms that made her always feel insecure, right? And sometimes people will say a few words of encouragement should be enough, to help her feel, herself again. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. So me being a guy, I was like, why don't you just buy something, go to the supermarket, go online, buy something, to solve it. And one thing that she always said was, no, I don't want to use all of those products because they will bleach my skin. I'm like, what are you talking about, right? So that, as a natural entrepreneur, because I've always, been in startups or sort of like done things on the side myself, I thought, oh, so why is this a problem? And I started to look into it. And that's when I realized that actually, okay, cool, if she's struggling with this, there must be, so many of our beautiful Black women that are struggling with the same things, fighting all of these silent battles, but there is no actually solution out there for them that is natural, that will not bleach their skin, at the same time help them with the issues that they're going through. So that's where the idea came from. And, that's where sort of like the light bulb goes off in your head, like, oh, okay, maybe you might be able to come up with something that will be able to help. But that whole process took about 4 years until I actually got around to doing something about it. Like I said, I've always been involved in other businesses for different startups. So I didn't necessarily, put my whole mind towards it. It was always something that was at the back of my mind. I did some research on it until COVID hit and there was lockdown, and then I had to work from home. I thought, you know what, why don't I actually, focus everything on this, because I was being paid to stay at home, right? So I thought, right, cool. Let's focus on this properly. I've got so much research on it. The products are always ready. Let's see what we can do. And essentially 9 months ago we launched, and here we are now.
So do you come up with the formulas?
Yes, I came up with all the formulas, and the requirements of the formulas is just literally it's just me spending 4 years doing countless amount of research, and speaking to the right people. And I sort of knew how to formulate when it comes to the rules and regulations, especially in the UK anyway. You can't just put anything together. So spend time making sure that we can formulate the products, it works, is safe to use for people, get it lab tested, get all the safety approvals that we need. I went through all that process, put it together myself.
So it took 4 years for your first product, or 4 years for your entire line?
So it took 4 years for the entire line. But then I say 4 years because it wasn't literally 4 years of me actively working on it. It was 4 years from when I had the idea to thinking, you know what, let me actually do this now. But during that time, I was still doing research because it was always on top of my mind, thinking, this is something that I need to work on. But I always thought whatever idea that I was working on was always better than this. So I never really gave it my full attention until I did. And it turned out this happened to be the one.
So how do you find out what products can and can't be used?
Essentially, it goes back down to how much research that you're able to sit down to do, and that's something I just happen to be good at. Typically, you look at, you start with the you start with the problem and the solution in mind, right? So, for example, go to Google and type in what natural products can help with this particular problem, i.e., hyperpigmentation, for example. And then you start to go into the sciences of it, and what certain ingredients do, right down to the almost like the biological level in terms of enzymes and how certain things reacts with your skin, reacts with your melanin, and reading books and articles and research papers on that, to try and then work backwards and think, okay, cool, I need this particular ingredient, right? And where can I find it in this natural state, right? And then go back to find it. And then you have to then figure out, okay, cool, can I then use this in a cosmetic product? Then you have to sort of like look at the regulation, see whether anything around it is banned or can you use it. You put it together and you send it off to a lab to test to see if it's safe to use on the skin. And if they give you the go ahead, then you get the approval to be able to launch. Well, for the UK anyway.
You have to do that process for every ingredient? Or for the combined ingredient, for the combined product?
So typically there is always one or two active ingredients that actually do the most of the work. But those active ingredients, you might not be able to use them directly on your skin. For example, some active ingredients, you only use about 1% of it, right? So when it comes to these stuff, the bulk of the product will probably be stuff that you probably know that you can combine anyway, because it's been done and tried many times. So we call that the base. So when it comes to the base, you don't need to necessarily worry about it too much. You can literally just grab a recipe that's good to go. The difficult part is finding the active ingredients, or it could be one or two or three of them that that is actually really going to help solve the issue that you're looking to address. And that's where the challenge is. So I wouldn't say is the whole product itself, because the actual basis, you can literally just grab a recipe online or a formula online and go with it, because they've been done and tested many times. But it's about finding what active ingredients do you need in your products to be able to achieve the results that you need it to achieve.
Is there a big difference between products that you can use in the UK and in the US or other countries?
No, not necessarily. Actually, the UK is actually more from the research I've done. I believe the UK is actually more stringent when it comes to cosmetics, because I know for here you can't launch anything without actually getting what will be the US equivalent of the FDA, getting the FDA's approval. Whereas from what I researched with FDA, unless it's something medicinal, then you don't necessarily need a license for the US. So I think the US is a little bit slightly less lenient when it comes to that. So which for us is good anyway. If you go through the US process, you definitely pass the. I mean, if you go through the UK process, you definitely pass the US process anyway. But typically, most ingredients are not novel, or unless you're coming up with something that almost doesn't exist, then you have to literally go through like a 3-4 year process of getting that particular ingredient approved. But if it's something that's already out there that happen to have your active ingredient in it, then you don't have to go through all of that stringent process again, because it's something that they already know of, that that they're aware of. So you don't actually have to test it as like a novel product. That's the issue, is coming up with something that almost doesn't exist, which is very, very difficult to do in this day and age.
Okay. So is your product all natural?
Yes. So our products are all natural. We use only natural ingredients or naturally derived ingredients. So if I should add that, for example, sometimes you have to add preservatives, because if there's water in your products, it will not work without a preservative, because water is obviously attracts bacteria and it will go within a week. So sometimes we have to add some stuff like preservatives, but when it comes to those kind of stuff, we add naturally derived versions, because you can't have a natural preservative, but they're derived from like plants and stuff like that. So yeah, everything we use are all natural or naturally derived.
Do you use I know you said naturally. So when it comes to the natural products compared to when your wife said she didn't want to use the bleach products,
yeah,
what kind of a difference in the
so
products, like the strength of it?
So the strength of it all depends on the formula, right? So, and sometimes it's also a safety measure as well. So it all depends. So every particular product will not have the same strength in terms of active ingredients, regardless of whether they're natural or chemically derived. Sometimes there's a perception that chemically derived products are not necessarily good for you, but that's not always the case, right? So it always depends. For example, someone can use kojic acid, and because it has the word acid, it seems like it's bad, but this is not necessarily. If you use, I don't know, 1% of it in your products, is not really going to do any harm to you. So it depends if a particular product has like 10% kojic acid versus 1%, right? That makes a huge difference. Whereas you can use naturally derived products and use a higher percentage of something. For example, you can use essential oils, and if you're using a very, very high percentage of it, it's still going to burn your skin. So there isn't necessarily like a good or bad between if you're using natural products alone, then it's good, or if you're using chemically derived, then it's terrible for you. It all depends on what ingredients that you have in there, and are you using the right proportions per ingredient. That's really, really important as well, and that doesn't need to be overlooked.
Are your products made specifically for people of color?
So people of color are the target, because we are, especially with the problems that I'm trying to solve, is more prevalent in people of color, for example, with the hyperpigmentation. So my thing is, when it comes to the world of skincare and cosmetics, I believe that people of color are particularly overlooked. So obviously when I came across the idea, that's where it stems from. So essentially that is where our marketing is driven to. However, we've tested the products on basically all skin tones, and it works. It's not to say that because obviously we are specifically targeting people of color, that's not going to work for other skin tones. And you can probably tell that from some of the before and after pictures that we have on that Instagram. It's just that we believe that people of color are always alienated when it comes to stuff like this. So obviously we start with people of color in mind first, and then it just so happens that because we are starting with sometimes quote unquote what the cosmetic world will say the most sort of like difficult skin to treat, which I don't think so. They're just not bothered enough, right, to put things in it that help us. Because we're starting there, it's almost like if it will work for the darkest shade of person in this world, then it will work for everybody else, because we're combating the hyperpigmentation issue. We are making sure that regardless of how much pigmentation is in your skin is going to work for you. So the lighter down the scale that you go, sometimes the more effective is it going to be, or it will probably work faster for you, because then you don't have to worry about the product working through as much melanin as is designed for. So yeah, it will work for all shades of people, but we're really, big on making sure that it works for people of color first.
Are there any ingredients that people should definitely stay away from when it comes to skincare?
So if there's any ingredients so again, it depends, right? There isn't sort of like a anything that you shouldn't use should be banned anyway, right? So the FDA and all of that governing bodies know about them. They should be banned, and you shouldn't even be able to buy them to use in skincare anyway. If you're able to purchase and use purchase them and use them in skincare products, it comes down to, like I was saying before, the percentage of the ingredients in there. You can add 10% of essential oils, and that's terrible, right? Because you're only supposed to use roughly about 1% of natural essential oils in your product, because they will start burning you. So it's really, really hard to say. Anything that shouldn't be used is already banned, because obviously they know about it already, that it's not good for you. And again, skincare is a difficult one as well, because sometimes something that works for one person doesn't necessarily work for someone else. So it's a tricky question to answer.
Trying to trick him up to one. You have a line of products, right? How does someone decide which one is best for them?
So what we try to do is we try to make that very clear in the marketing that we do, and also on our website. So for example, when you if you're looking for something for eczema, for example, right? Anytime we post like an eczema before and after picture on our Instagram, we try to say this is the product that was used. And on the website as well, you would know when you go through the description of it, is that a lot of basically our core treatment products is a set, which is the scrub and the magic cream. So that's the core products that we use to treat a lot of the problematic skin issues that we try to address. Anything else, obviously you can buy the product individually after you've tried them and you think, okay, cool, I'm running out of this one, I want to top up with that one. That's all well and good. But we try to obviously tell people this is the product to use for XYZ. And I think, people would not naturally know. So if you do go on our website, or always make sure that you read the description, because everything will be in there. Or if it's on our Instagram page, we always put the product that was used in the captions as well, so that it's easier for people to understand which product they want to buy and what product to use for what.
Okay.
So you have like bundles on your website. Is it better to use the bundles, or could you use them separately as well?
You can use them separately, but they're designed to work together, right? Especially the scrub. And so our core bundle, so we started by obviously focusing on problematic skin, whereas now that we've introduced more sort of like the body creams and stuff like that you can use every day. So our core bundle is the scrub and the magic cream. So those two are supposed to work together to treat problematic skin issues. So for your hyperpigmentation, eczema, stretch marks, like anything on your skin that you feel like is not helping me with my confidence as much as I need to be, then those two products, the scrub and magic cream, they should work for you. Anything else on top of it, so your body cream, so at the moment we have a summer body cream going, those are products that you can use every day, just as like your everyday go-to products, but we try to obviously make that clear on the website. And I think those are the bundles. So we have the core bundle, and we have the ultimate bundle, which includes your daily used body creams as well.
The production of your product, where is it manufactured?
Everything is manufactured in the UK at the moment. So we've set up our own manufacturing warehouse. So we do everything here. We're actually in the process of opening up another manufacturing center in Maryland as well in the US, purely because we have a lot of US customers. And then we're just trying to make the process a little bit more seamless for them. So at the moment, what happens is that anytime a customer from the US orders from us, the products fly from the UK into New York overnight. So if you was to order today, it will be in New York overnight, literally like in the next 8 hours. And then once it gets to New York, there's no difference for us being in New York versus being in London, because literally it flies into New York overnight. We're trying to even make that process a little bit more seamless and cut out that extra 1 day by producing in the US as well, and then obviously shipping all the US orders from the US. But at the moment, everything is manufactured in the UK, shipped over to the US overnight. Obviously, if you're based in the UK, you get it straight away from here as well, or anywhere around the world, to be honest.
What's the shelf life of the products?
So the shelf life is 12 months. That's the official shelf life we got, but I believe it's slightly a little bit longer. But the official one from the lab says 12 months.
So I can purchase it. I can stockpile if I wanted to.
Yeah, basically, yeah, you can stockpack, but I don't think we're going anywhere anyway. So if you wanted to stockpack, you're more than welcome to. But I'm sure the website should still be on there in the next year or many more years to come.
Well, when you have like some sales or Black Friday or
so like
you wanna buy as many as you can at the sale price.
Of course.
So
yeah, please do. Yeah, so anytime there's a sale going on, please do stock up. I'm not going to stop you. You can buy as many as you want whenever you want. So so we have at least a minimum of a 12-month shelf life. So yeah, there's no issues that should hold their quality for that long anyway. So.
Are your products kid friendly?
Are they kids friendly? Do you ask? Yes, 100% kids friendly. I actually use it on my daughter as well. She's 2 years old. She's got eczema. So we don't use any harsh ingredients, anything like that. It's very, very good for sensitive skin as well. It's kids friendly. So if you've got sensitive skin or you're worried about using the kids, there's absolutely nothing to worry about, because everything is very gentle. Shouldn't cause you any issues at all.
I understand earlier you stated that what kind of triggered you was your wife's hyperpigmentation. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's the word. It's very, very difficult, and I had to practice it for many months to get it right.
And you said that the entrepreneur in you kind of kicked in. So you've always been on the entrepreneurial path?
Yeah, so I've always been. So I got introduced to say quote unquote the entrepreneur world when I was about 16. I'm 29 now, by the way. When I was about 16, I had a cousin that used to import GHDs from China. Don't ask me whether they were real or not, because I didn't know at the time. And he said to me, I'm going to sell this to you. You can just sell it off Amazon and eBay. I was like, yeah, why not? Right. So I took them and just literally like put them on eBay, and then they started selling like hotcake. I'm like, oh, wow. Like these things are making me like £1,000 a month. Like, give me more. Right. So that's literally where the journey started. And obviously over the years, I went to university, which is college for the US. So I went to college, and I started like several ventures. I think the first one was like a food delivery business, because where our college was, it was literally like, so we called it like a campus college. So it's literally, you have all the amenities you need, everything you need in one place, but is in the middle of nowhere on like a country field. So you have about, 20,000 students literally in the middle of nowhere. Everyone just knows each other. We all, everything is in one place, right? So that meant that we only have 5 places to eat, because they only have 5 restaurants. And I thought, why don't I just, go back home to London and bring down my car? And it's literally, and it, in the UK, it's almost like hardly anyone drives, because everyone can jump on like public transport, like buses and trains. So like at the age of 18, barely anyone drives, right? I thought I can just literally go down to London, bring down my car, and I can literally just like create a website, put the menu of McDonald's and the equivalent of Chick-fil-A and all of that stuff on the website, and get students to order from it, and I'll just drive half an hour into town and bring it to them, right? So I set up like something similar to like, Postmates or something like that, delivering food to students on campus, because everyone was too lazy to jump in a bus to go to town for about, to go downtown for about half an hour and get their food and come back. No one wanted to do that. So that's how I started. And obviously post uni, I've always sort of like worked for new businesses or worked for startups. Or if I'm not doing that, I'm probably doing something on the side, trying to start something on the side for myself. So whereas all my friends went into like banking and went to be lawyers and bankers and consultants, I thought, I'm just going to go down this route. So I've always either worked in a small business or a startup or trying to start something myself. So since I started at 16, it literally just like ignited my interest and I never really looked back. So in a way, I would like to call myself like a true entrepreneur. I mean, if that's a thing. But yeah, so anytime I see a good idea, I get like light bulbs just going off in my head, like, how can I make this happen? So yeah,
you were the original DoorDash.
Right. DoorDash in London.
So like, I think we got something similar here called Deliveroo. And I always like to start, and that's like the massive company. I think they're a public company worth about £5 billion now. But I always like to say I kind of started that before they became who they were. But obviously, I didn't know anyone to raise, $1 billion to make it happen. But I don't know. I'm happy we're here now.
Right. You took a different path.
Exactly. Things happen for a reason, I'll say.
So was it difficult getting into the health and beauty industry?
It wasn't necessarily easy, but I'll say it was a little bit more straightforward for me because of all my past experiences. So this particular venture was almost like a combination of everything I've learned in my, say, 8 years of working for small businesses or trying to be an entrepreneur, because you get to the stage where you've done a little bit of everything, right? Obviously, I knew how to, I learned how to formulate, kind of like look at the regulations and figure out what I can use, what I can't use. I knew how to do marketing, especially when it came to, paid social, Facebook ads, being able to run ads, not necessarily have to hire anybody for it. And so you learn all of these things. I learned all of these things, along the journey. So when it got to this, and it happened that we had a good product, it was slightly easier for me to get going. But I wouldn't say it was easy, because obviously what's easy for me might not be easy for someone else. But I think what I was fortunate was that, all of those things that I learned along the journey, although at the time you might not realize how important it was, came into full effect when this started going, because we didn't really start with a lot of money, right? I think I put in about, £5,000 into the business account, and literally that is all the money that we needed, and that's all that we've used to grow the business to where it is now. But then you're only able to do it because I was able to do a lot of things myself. So at the beginning, we're producing we've always done everything ourselves, right? So I was producing everything myself. I was doing all the marketing, doing everything, because I just happened to be able to do it. But that was because I'd been doing it for 8 years prior. So, if you discount all of those prior experience, then you might say, oh, it's really, really easy to do. But if you've never done anything like that before, you're going to be thinking, oh my God, how the hell do I run Facebook ads, for example? Why does this look so complicated? But, without all that experience, it was a little bit easier for me. So yeah, I would say to everyone, just don't discount your experiences that you're going through now. There might be a day where it makes it easier for you to do something.
Question, TaWanda?
I have a question about the products.
Yeah,
Going back to the products. How often do you have to use them before you start seeing results?
So again, that's a difficult / tricky one, because the reason why I say this, because it goes back to the point that I made, that everyone's skin is slightly different and will respond to the active ingredients slightly differently as well. So for example, we see people use the products and they see results in like a week, and then for other people it takes 3 months, right? So I'll say using the product is more about remaining consistent over a long period of time, just in case your skin is just taking longer. But typically, I will say you scrub about 2 or 3 times a week. That's it. That's a good amount of time to exfoliate in a week, and then you use the magic cream once or twice a day. But yeah, you don't need to use it 10 times a day, it's not going to necessarily accelerate the results. And I understand everyone wants to see fast results. People want to put it on today and then they wake up tomorrow and all their problems have dissolved away. But unfortunately, it doesn't always work like that.
That would be a miracle.
Yeah, so unfortunately, it doesn't always work like that. So I'll say, scrub to on average about 3 times a week. Use the magic creams once or twice a day, and that should be more than enough. And the other bit is you just being religious and consistent with it, and being patient at the same time, just in case your results are taking slightly longer. I just really wish people understood that everyone's skin will react slightly different to the same thing and will respond slightly different to the same thing. It doesn't mean it's not going to work for you. If you've used it for 2 weeks and you haven't seen results, and someone's seen results within a week, it doesn't mean their product doesn't work for you. It just might mean that you just need to use it a little bit longer for your skin.
Now I understand that you did $1 million in sales in 6 months. And you said earlier that you did everything yourself. How did you adjust to that rapid increase?
Again, I'm lucky to have 4 siblings, right? So it was a lot of sleep. Well, it is still a lot of sleepless nights. I remember the day we did about our first 200 orders in a day, and at the time we hadn't processed that many orders before. I mean, in terms of like at the same time. So I remember at the time it took us, I think we started production and obviously packaging and shipping. And then I think we might have started at about 7 a.m. in the morning, and then we didn't finish until about 5 a.m. the following day, literally like non-stop, right? So that's literally how like hectic it was at the beginning. But as we go along, we get better now. We can process 200 orders in about 2 hours, right? But in the beginning, it was almost like a torture. It was like, why are we doing this stuff? So I was literally barely in the sleep. I think I was sleeping like 3 or 4 hours a day. Because again, it was all me. So we would wake up early in the morning to produce, and then we would have to be doing customer service during the day because people will be messaging you, a whole bunch of different questions. And then you need to then get ready to dispatch, get in towards the evening. And then by the time the evening is done, you have more customer service questions to answer. And yeah, it was crazy. But I think fortunate for us, everything sort of like happened in steps. So we could almost like forecast what was going to happen. So if we're doing 200 orders today, we know that, okay, cool, next week we need an extra person. So it was a case where I was literally just like recruiting all the people I know, and then like, this weekend I need you guys to come and help me dispatch these things, right? I got 300 orders. I literally just can't do it myself. So it became a thing where I was literally just like pulling my dad, my mom, my 2 brothers and my sister, and everyone literally just like come into my house, and my living room became like our dispatch center until we got big enough that we could afford like a warehouse. So then we moved into our own unit. We moved into like a 500 square foot unit, and then we outgrew that within a month, and then we had to move into like a 3,000 square foot unit, and now we're about to move into like a 10,000 square foot unit. So it's all been step by step, but we're sort of like figuring out as we go along. But yeah, it's a lot of sleepless nights. So yeah, I guess if you don't like the sleepless nights, then it's going to be more of a challenge.
Is it family? So, you had your brothers and your sisters and your parents working with you when you first started. Do they still work with you now, or do you have an entirely separate team and a staff?
No, so they've all gone like their own thing that they do. I only sort of like pulled them to come and help us and when. And they were very, very, very helpful in the beginning. So I think for a period of 3 months, they had no weekends. So I literally took all their weekends away from them, both Saturdays and Sundays. They'll be helping me produce. But they don't, I think one of my cousins work in the business now, and my dad as well, because my dad is retired. So I literally kind of like pulled him out of retirement to come and help with some stuff. But apart from that, they all have their own careers and professions. One is a banker, one is an accountant. My mom is a midwife. So they're all like in their own field that they love doing. But it's just that in the beginning, I had to literally like get all the help I need very, very quickly in a moment's notice. And they're the only people I could go to. So now we have like a whole team that we've hired that is helping with everything. They don't necessarily work in the business. But in the beginning, it was like, I need you guys now. You need to come to my house so we can do this now. And that's what they helped with.
At what point did you realize you needed to move into a warehouse? Was it the 200 order that you got in the one day?
It was the point when my, my wife kicked us out. It was literally like there was no room in our apartment. Literally, like the living room was full of boxes. There was nowhere to walk. The hallway was full of boxes and jars.
Wow.
Everything was everywhere, literally. And I was trying to be as cheap as possible, right? I didn't want to commit, to a warehouse unit. And she was like, no, you guys, like, I need my house back. Like, I can't live like this for another month. So we had to like, oh, okay, well, we're gonna move next week. And then the following week, so yeah, it got to a point where just getting a little bit ridiculous. Even we end up having to stuck some boxes in our bedroom. Like, okay, cool, maybe it's time to move out. So yeah, that's when we decided to get a warehouse, and then fortunately it just kept growing from there. Because obviously, like, if you haven't done this at this stage before, you're always wondering, oh, okay, what if? And especially when it comes to like commercial leases as well, they tie you into like a contract, right? That you can't get out of. So sometimes you might have a break clause, well, maybe in 6 months, but if you have a minimum of 6 months or a year, you have to pay the rent for that whole time because you're in a legal contract. So I was like, well, I don't want to, get in the contract. What if we're not getting that many orders again, in a month's time, and now we have to pay all of this money, all of that money to them? But it's one of those things where you always have to take a leap of faith and just believe that, it's going to be all right, and, do it. We did it, and I don't think we ever looked back. And I think it was very much needed. I even think at one point our neighbors started to complain because we were working throughout the night, right? So, yeah, they weren't happy either. But yeah, we had to move out because the wife was like, nah, no more.
You have any new products coming out? Any new projects you're working on?
Yes, we have a line of 3 or 4 new products lined up, coming up. I'm not sure I can talk about them just yet. Just
okay.
Just so that just in case someone decides to go and beat us to it.
Got it. Totally. I totally understand that.
But no, we are always working ahead, even now. So like one of the things I focus on is always like, because I was trying to see, what areas, can we help, people of color with, what areas are Black people suffering? Not just Black people as well, so Black and brown people in particular. Like I said, that's the main focus. What other things are we not doing that we could obviously help them further? And we try to innovate, bring out new products that can help with that. So yeah, we have actually. So I think our next 3 product releases are all lined up already, ready to go. But we just sort of like pacing them out a little bit more now, so that we don't dump everything on everyone, in the space of a month. So yeah, we work very hard.
That's what's up. I can't wait to see the new product line.
I'm sure everyone will love it, but fingers crossed, it works for everyone, as well as the results that we've been seeing in house already. So, but yeah, I'm hoping it will be just as good for everybody else.
So, what skin conditions does your products cover right now?
So right now, especially with the body restore combo, and again, that was so the word body, I'll come back to it later on, but we cater to hyperpigmentation, eczema, stretch marks. And again, you can't get rid of stretch marks, by the way. Everyone keep asking me that you say stretch marks, but that's a lie. I know you can't get rid of stretch marks because once your skin stretches, it's never going to go back to how it was like before unless you're using laser. However, what the product's going to do is, for some people, when they do get stretch marks, right, they get all of these very, very dark lines in between their stretch marks, and not everybody is confident enough to have that. For other people, that's perfectly fine, and that's okay. We don't say, we're not against stretch marks. But for people that do get the very, very dark stretch marks, the products are able to fade them and sort of like even them out without bleaching your skin and all the other areas. So that's one thing to stretch marks. And generally, it's just like problematic skin in general. Like people use it for what they call like chicken legs or strawberry legs or all of that stuff. So like anything where there is something topical going on your skin, there's something that's just not quite right. Obviously, if it's serious, I always advise people check it out with your doctor, because sometimes we really do get some questions in our DMs, and like we have to tell people, no, go to your doctor to check this out because it looks a bit too serious, right? But apart from that, if there's anything topical, rashes, any of those kind of stuff, you can use the product for it, and they'll work for it perfectly well.
Now, I know that I saw one of your pictures, and one of the young ladies had a lot of pimples on her face, and the product worked for them. But does it work well for teenagers? Because typically their pimples are stem from hormones.
Yeah.
Does it work good for them as well, or is it more for adults?
Yeah, so it will work for teenagers. The only problem is because they're going through that hormonal period. It's not gonna stop it from reoccurring, right? That's just natural. Your body, whatever is in your body that needs to come out, is gonna come out. And it's probably better that way, that all the toxins that need to come out of body do come out, rather than trying to stop it to come out. But I think the great thing about the products, and what I love about it, is after all of that has come out and done what it needs to do, what then tends to happen is there's a lot of scars that are left behind, and that is when our product really comes into its full effects. That let all whatever that needs to come out, because you're going through your hormonal season anyway, and that's perfectly fine. But with the scars that are left behind, use our products for it, even out your skin, and go about your day.
So what is hyperpigmentation? Don't come for me.
No, that's fine. So essentially, hyperpigmentation is when there is an overproduction of melanin in a certain area of your body, and that typically happens when your skin goes through some form of stress, right? And that stress could be, for example, you cut yourself, or there's been some pimple that's popped in. Obviously, the skin there has opened up, and then essentially when the skin heals itself, it overcompensates for what's there before, right? So in that process of overcompensation, when that melanin in that area is reproducing, it reproduces more, just so that it thinks that, it doesn't want that to go away again, so let's overcompensate. Similar to when you, for example, for guys, when you go to the gym and bodybuilding, right? It's almost like you lift weights to break down your muscles, and when it rebuilds itself, it rebuilds slightly bigger. And that's the same thing when it comes to pigmentation. So when your skin go through some form of stress, whether it's stretch marks because it's stretched or anything like that, the skin's process of rehealing itself just overcompensates for us there. And that's why the word hyper comes from. So it's basically more pigmentation than what is typically there. And sometimes, depending on where it is, it might cause a lot of loss of confidence for people, right? And that's understandable, right? If you've got dark spots all over your face or your arms or stuff like that, some people on their legs, they only wear trousers or like very, very long skirts, because obviously they don't want anyone to see whatever's on their legs, right? So that's hyperpigmentation, and that's how it happens. Our products are able to target these particular spot areas where there has been an overcompensation of melanin, and it will try to like even it out with your actual natural skin tone, so that obviously you have like a more uniform look without lighting up the whole area. And I think that's what people don't like. People don't want to look a lighter shade that they are. They just want to look how they look like, without again having to look without having the overcompensation of melanin or undercompensation of melanin, right? They just want to look their natural skin tone, and that's what we try to help with.
So it's not raised or anything, it's just a different color.
Yeah, so hyperpigmentation is not raised. So when it's raised, it's actually something else. When it's raised, it's more so it's called keloids. So when it's raised, so it's more so your skin cells basically just again overcompensating for whatever was already there. But for the hyperpigmentation alone, it's just the color. It's just the color. When it's raised, it's something else, but obviously it could be darker as well. But yeah, that's what hyperpigmentation is. A little bit of a science lesson here, but
right.
Okay.
So how can people place an order, y'all?
Simply by going to our website. So it's www.avaestell. So that's AVAESTELL.com. So avaestell.com. You go on there, you will see everything that you need to see. Go through the products. We talk about every single one of them and what it does for you. If you want to see more of like a showroom, so we call our Instagram our sort of like showroom, because that's where we post all like before and after pictures, customer feedback, and what it's able to do. You can go on our Instagram page as well, which is at Ava Estell, so at AVAESTELL. You'll be able to see, loads and loads of before and after pictures, what it does for people. You can see people's comments, both positive and negative. Like I said, it's not necessarily going to work for every single person, because again, we can't guarantee 100% success for every person, because that's not even possible, right? But I do understand people's frustration when they've paid for something and it hasn't worked for them. But it's one of those things where if you don't try it, you just never know. And we try to be as transparent on that as possible. But for the majority of people, we see so many results, we get so many feedback. And you can read all the feedback, you can read what people are saying about the products all online. We try to remain as transparent as possible, like I said. So yeah, you can, our website is averestell.com, and you can have a look at our IG as well, if you're trying to figure out whether this will work for you or not.
And when you say when they place the order, what is the typical turnaround time?
So on our end, we dispatch within 24 hours. Worst case scenario, if it's over a weekend, because then the courier, so we are limited by what the couriers can do, right? So sometimes over weekend, the couriers just don't work on weekends, especially on a Sunday. So for example, if you order on a Friday, if you order really, really late on a Friday after the cutoff period, then they'll pick it up on the Monday. So then if you order on a Friday, then you gonna wait for a little bit longer. But typically for the US, your products will be with you within 5 to 7 days. If you order with expedited, then it will be with you within 1 to 3 days. Expedited is really, really good. We use DHL, and they literally just they collect it from us at 4 p.m., fly it into wherever you are, whether LA, New York, wherever you are, they'll fly into that region, and then it should be within the next 2 days. So typically, I'll say from 2 to 7 days, depending on what service you use. If you're in the UK, you can get it within 3 to 4 days as well. But we dispatch most of the time within 24 hours.
Now, in the UK, are you in stores right now?
No, so everything we've done everything online. So far, we found that the most efficient, effective way to reach as many of our customers as possible. The issue with going in store is we're literally like a COVID baby / COVID company. Everything we've done so far, we've done within COVID, right? So we weren't even afforded the option of necessarily going in stores, so we just focused on online only for now. Maybe we might start thinking about it to see if it makes sense, but we're not in stores. We're not in any stores. The only places to get it is on that website at the moment.
Okay. What are all your hand? Oh, go ahead, T.
I'm sorry. Will you all be going into like Amazon?
Yes, so we're working with Amazon. So Amazon is just being very the only reason why we're not on Amazon yet is just because we're just waiting on Amazon to sort out whatever they need to sort out to be able to grant us access. But we're in talks. We're just waiting for them to approve it. So yeah, now we're going to be going on Amazon as well. Again, it just makes it easier for the customer to receive their products in case they want to purchase via Amazon. So that option is coming up. We wish we were on there already, but it's not down to us. We just Amazon just being a little bit slow with us. But yeah, it is coming. It's in the pipeline.
Okay.
Cool. So what are all of your social media handles? I know you gave us your website and your IG, but what's your Instagram? Not your Instagram, your Facebook. What's your Facebook handle?
So the Facebook handle is Ava Estell HQ. So with the Facebook, you add HQ to it. And again, the Instagram is at Ava Estell. Twitter is going to be the same thing, at Ava Estell. And I think TikTok is the same as well, at Ava Estell. I think we are most active on Instagram. That's where you see a lot of the action happening, because obviously for us, the visuals do say a lot. And I think that Instagram is the best place for us to demonstrate that.
Any more questions, T?
No, I have no more questions.
Well, I thank you for educating us on skincare and health. That was definitely interesting. Some of the different scientific aspects of it that you really don't really get into, that you don't realize. Sometimes we think when someone says it has these essential oils, then we think, oh, it has to be an abundance of essential oils, not realizing that too many essential oils, from what I learned today, can actually be not good for you as well. So
no, it's absolutely terrible for you. So don't use too much of it, and definitely don't apply essential oils directly onto your skin. You're going to burn your skin.
another thing I learned, I didn't know that either. But we thank you for being here with us today, educating us, informing us about your brand. We wish you much success, continued success in the future, on your transition over to the States. We know that you're going to continue to grow and build, with your company. And I just hope that everything works out for you. So
thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I love doing these things, to obviously help our people educate as well. So no, thank you very much for bringing me on here as well.
And thank you for taking the time. It's like 1:00 in the morning there. So, we definitely do appreciate that you took the time out to be here with us on the show. So with that being said, if you have friends, family, coworkers, someone who has a black or brown owned business, please have them contact me at Just Joci. They can email me at justjoci@melanatednbusiness.com and send over their information. We will review it, and then we will get back with them. We do like sharing and just bringing about brand awareness and information to all businesses, small and big, nationwide and abroad, as you see. With that being said, it is time for us to close out. Anything else you want to add before we go, T?
Thank you, everyone who joined and who will be joining. You are our heartbeat. Next week, we will have joining us on Thursday, the 29th at 7:30. We will have Darren Stokes of Inspection by Stokes joining us. Make sure you tune in.
Yes, make sure you tune in, because the real estate market is really, really big right now, and people are buying houses, and he is a home inspector, and people are buying these houses and they're flipping these properties, and they're buying these properties and they're not getting home inspections, and you are losing your money. You have to make sure you get a home inspection. So you want to tune in, hear what he has to say, how he educates, information he provides to us. Yes. With that, thank you for tuning in to this week's Melanated N Business, where we highlight all things Black and brown for the upliftment and highlighting of our community. We thank you. We see you next week. And on that, you all have a wonderful weekend. Be safe.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.